Hello, and welcome to the Dutchess County Fair Legacy of Agriculture and Community, a podcast dedicated to celebrating the people, farms, and traditions that make agriculture such an important part of our lives here in Dutchess County and beyond. I'm your host, Suzanne Roitze, a 25-year member of the Dutchess County Agricultural Society, a food service industry leader, community advocate, and passionate supporter of local agriculture. Throughout my career, I've had the privilege of working closely with farmers, producers, and food service professionals who are committed to quality, sustainability, and community. This podcast shines a spotlight on agriculture and community and the incredible stories behind them. In today's episode of Legacy of Agriculture and Community, we shine a spotlight on Battenfeld's Anemone Flower Farm and Tree Farm, a beloved multi-generational family farm that has helped shape the landscape and the memories of Dutchess County for decades. From vibrant seasonal flowers to Christmas trees that anchor holiday traditions, the Battenfeld family represents stewardship, resilience, and service to community. This is a story about beauty with purpose, about growing more than crops, but about making connections. Fred, thank you so much for being part of the Dutchess County Fair Legacy of Agriculture and Community podcast. I can't tell you how excited I am to be here today to learn more about Battenfeld Flower and Tree Farm, to speak to you and your commitment to the Dutchess County Fair. There are decades of commitment and experience and value that you've contributed to the fair. But I really want to start from the beginning as to the farm. So just kind of take us back to the beginning. How did it start? And how did you progress into what you've become today?
Well, my family has been in the town of Milan since the late 1800s, purchased this property during the Depression, moved here, and at that point in time, it was an apple orchard, small dairy, with three violet greenhouses, owned by a guy named Frank Jacoby. So we bought that and evolved into those businesses. As time progressed, the apple business looked bleaker and bleaker. At one time, Dutchess County grew tons of apples. We were huge, not as big as dairy, but we had a lot of fruit around here. Again, if you weren't large enough, you couldn't survive. My dad realized that, and we shortly took the apple trees out and grew corn for a couple of years, and then looked at something called Christmas trees and said maybe that would be something that's on the horizon. To grow trees for people to come and cut them was kind of unheard of. So that evolved. We're talking early 50s now. The violet industry waned, pretty much got tired after World War II because there was no help. And it was fairly labor intensive. And the flower as a crop had outgrown its audience. They were your grandmother's flower and so on. They were replaced by carnations and orchids and so on and so forth. So we had to look for something else to do there. My dad and two other people, Rhinebeck people, very good friends, the Pitchers and the Cole family, got together and tried plant breeding anemones to try and create a new crop, a marketable crop that would cater to more modern times. And one thing led to another, and slowly we transitioned into anemones and started to build more glass. So we went from the 2.5 greenhouses to 8.5, and slowly, as business grew, we grew.
Mm-hmm. So tell me a little bit about the anemone flower and why did you land on that? Because I find it, in my research, I see that, it's from the Mediterranean and Israel and France and, and you think about the climate here in Dutchess County and the 4 seasons, and you think flower growing or flower harvesting, et cetera, would be in a warmer climate. What made this area ideal? Because I feel like there are some aspects of the area that complement that growing. But how did you kind of land on the anemones specifically?
Well, my dad kind of was talked into it by an uncle of his who was a gardener on a river estate. And they had some anemones there in their greenhouse. And he said, Dick, that flower is pretty damn nice. Maybe we could do something with that and transition it and improve it and move forward with it. So, again, that's where the initial experiment began. But after having done that, they realized that our temperate zone temperature was pretty much ideal to grow this crop. The anemone is a cold crop. It does not like heat, does not do well in the summer months. It loves this weather, and the fall and the spring. So the two together made it do well. And so that's kind of where that kind of fell into place.
So how did you come up with the actual seed, or what do you refer to the bulb as? How do you start growing an anemone?
Okay. Well, if you were to go out somewhere and say, I want to grow some anemones, you can go buy corms from a bulb store. Bulbs, which are flowers in those greenhouses. Right. They create a corm. Nothing like what we're growing. We destroy all of ours every year. We do not resell. So we control our crop as much as we can. We don't want it to trickle out, because you can duplicate with a bulb, but so we go back and grow from seed every year. And I have a greenhouse where down through the years we have transitioned by segregating parent blocks, and we know what combinations to make a great hybrid. You take two together, and then all of a sudden you have a gem. Mm-hmm. And that's what we're growing in the greenhouse. That's what you cannot go and buy at Adams or anywhere else.
Do you have did you go to college for this, or?
I went to college for that, but it was pretty much to have fun.
That's great. But it seems, to me, just the nature in which you're blending, or you're recreating that new crop every year to continue to create a beautiful flower. And by the way, they're just spectacular. The flowers themselves, the colors, they call them the windmill flowers because they look like windmills. The center, the size, the sturdiness of the stem. I mean, over the years, they've just really, the product of what you're producing has been incredible.
Well, Suzanne, if you guys have enough time when you're finished here
and
do the greenhouses, Lance and Morgan can show you where we do our plant breeding. There's a special greenhouse where we take little artist brushes and cross-pollinate flowers. Mm-hmm. And if you go in there, you'll see seed pods, and that's our future crop. So we can gather that all segregated by numbers and codes.
And color?
And color, oh yeah. The numbers mean a lot to us. So, and this stuff's good for 8 or 10 years in refrigeration.
Wow. So
you can always go back. If you had a, like wine, you have good years and bad years, vintage years, bad years. So that's a possibility all the time.
Mm-hmm. So in growing the flower, is it in dirt? Is it in water? Is it in a...
We grow in soil.
Soil?
We grow in sterilized soil. And years ago, in the old days, when they grew violets, people used to have to go in there and shovel all the soil out and bring new soil in. In today's world, you can sterilize the soil in place.
How do you do that?
You can do it. We used to be able to do it with a methyl bromide gas, which is no longer available. Mm-hmm. But now we do it with steam. So we have a huge boiler that's portable. Mm-hmm. We can tarp our beds. You'll see the way they're designed down there, the paths, so you walk down and cut. We can tarp them and then close them and cook that dirt up to 200 plus degrees.
And use it again.
Some of that dirt's been in there almost 50 years.
Wow, that's incredible. Do you put fertilizer?
All the time. We test our soil all the time.
Is that does an outside agency do
that?
We used
to do it. I can do it. I send some out. Cornell does it.
Right.
But you can buy kits and do it yourself. I used to have a guy from Long Island that did it for me. So, yeah, it's available.
So is the ground suspect to anything like parasite or bug or anything like that?
Insects are a constant problem. And to say that we can grow organically is false. You need chemicals. Or else you'll have an imperfect product. And people don't want that. They want it perfect. And so, yeah, heavily reliant on chemicals and very expensive too.
Yeah, every year it seems like there's a different infestation of a beetle or some type of bug that we've never heard of before. I know locally I have I call them ladybugs, but people say that they're not ladybugs. They're like infesting my windows, and I'm like, where are they coming from? And I think, oh my gosh, what are they going to do to the local flowers and, our gardens and such?
It's probably that thing they call a spotted lanternfly.
That's it. Spotted lanternfly.
Yeah.
Terrible.
With us, it was a thrip. We had never had a problem with thrips here. And somehow...
Thrip is a bug?
Oh, an insect, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And if you get a virus you can get a virus in your plants. And if you get a virus in your plants, the only thing you can do to control it is to throw them away. There's no spray that controls that. And they arrived about 6 or 8 years ago, and they're a constant maintenance. We've really got to stay on top of it.
And how do you know if you're infested with a virus or you see?
Monitor all the time.
Okay. So soil, you do the outcome.
Yeah, but your people go in there with glasses and.
Okay, take a close look. Yeah. And you probably can walk in instinctually over the years. It's probably like second nature to you.
Yeah.
And growing in the length of.
We know when things look good and when they look bad.
Yeah, the vibrancy of the flower and the intensity of the color, I feel like your anemones are incredible. Is that based on the breeding and the hybrid and the type of seed? And
we constantly breed. Well, the one thing you breed for is production.
Right. That's output. You want nice quality.
And then quality. Right? Those two go ahead. And you can go too far in one direction and too far in another. And then color. And then new colors. And for example, we've got 2 or 3 different things in the pipeline now that are really unique. The number one flower we grow is a white with a black center.
Beautiful.
Now the only whites we ever grew here were monocolor, white, green center. Never had one. We discovered this, started to plant breed it. It's the number one seller. We can't grow enough of it. So it's Martha Stewart helped us out a lot.
That's great. And let's talk about your customer and the whole business aspect of who's buying these flowers and where do they go and what's its reach and how do people get them? I mean, do you have a shipping and some internal infrastructure to ship them out? I mean, just talk about that. Well, let's just digress. Let's talk about the life cycle. How long does it take to put the crumb in the ground and have it produce a beautiful flower that's ready for harvesting?
We plant mid-June to mid-July, so that our greenhouses all have new seedlings in them. Just growing, nothing flowering, quite small. Things start to flower around late September. You probably have a shippable item. We sell here earlier than that, but a wholesale type item mid-October and so on. So then we would start shipping to Boston and New York.
The terminal markets?
Wholesale markets, which are right on 28th Street in New York and out in Boston. But we also do tons of FedEx. So I have clients in Texas, clients in California, or Atlanta. So our market is really vast, and people really want the product. Certain times of the year, for example, you get through into November and you get into Thanksgiving and you get Christmas, and you don't have enough to go everywhere. Everybody wants this. And on Christmas, they all want red. The day after Christmas, they don't want red. So it's all about marketing, and you pick your spots. And very interesting. But
So the life cycle in the ground to picking it is 3 months, 6 months?
yeah, that would start our harvest season, which continues all through the winter. We thrive in the cold months. Remember, it's a cold flower.
Right.
So we're going strong now. March will be very strong. April should be very strong. By mid-May, we're starting to wind down. We try and get that Mother's Day market.
I'm sure it's a good one.
And then we start to empty the greenhouses and start this whole process again.
Cleaning it up. My mother always said you could get anemones in the months that had an R in it. That was my point of reference. I could never get a May, June, July, August.
Yeah. Good.
Pretty much so.
Good.
Whether that be the case or not. But so you just growing anemones in that?
No, we've transitioned into another really strong crop, ranunculus.
Beautiful.
And there again, they're doing well. And these kids and my employees know how to do a super job growing them. We grow other things. We grow some alstroemeria. We grow some beautiful lilies. A lot of those secondary items are just for local retail. But the ranunculus we ship a lot too. So
they're beautiful.
Yeah.
They seem to have really gained in popularity recently.
They certainly have. Yep.
That's great.
And our flower market in New York, we talked about 28th Street and the wholesale market, but that's now Brooklyn. It's here. It's there. They've spread out too. So the wholesale market is disintegrated. Retail space is expensive. And so that market has disappeared.
That kind of breaks my heart a little bit. But so, flowers and then Christmas trees. So you take a little break in the summer and then you really ramp up in the fall and then it's...
Well, my employees and kids say, we didn't sign on for this because our downtime is limited. But the nice thing about this whole process is you do change what you do. Different jobs, different seasons, indoors, outdoors.
Right.
Is important too, I think.
Right.
Totally different job descriptions, but I think they dovetail well together. But we are busy all year. There's no downtime.
So talk to me a little bit about the Christmas tree farm and the scope and the types of trees that you're growing here. I mean, your reputation is incredible in the experience of cutting down a tree and, the limited time to actually get a tree here because you limit the amount of trees you probably allow to cut as well. But, how has that business changed and grown and what does its future look like?
Well, it started out again, as I spoke before, Suzanne. We went from fruit to corn, just using the land for something else. It was a very, Cornell was pushing it as try Christmas trees. So we did. And of course, when my dad started, we went out and didn't plant them in rows. We planted them. And one thing led to another, and all of a sudden people would drive by and say, oh, can I come cut a tree? So that business transitioned into a really growing endeavor. When we initially started, we were growing the wrong varieties. So we learned from education what people wanted. We transitioned out of Norway spruce into balsams and Fraser firs and concolor firs, white pine, shorn white pines. So we now grow 7 or 8 different varieties because everybody's tastes are different. We plant every spring if we have the manpower and the product where there is an open spot. Wherever there's a stump, we try and put a tree there. Doesn't always work out that way, but we really stay on it. You can't take a year off because that will show up down the road with no product. So every year that process starts, again, mid-April to we're done by June 1st. We have coolers so we can store our trees, keep them cool before we put them in the ground, which is very important. We
Irrigation? Is irrigation?
No, we don't. We haven't gone that route because
Okay.
it's extremely expensive.
Mm-hmm.
My experience has been you plant a good tree, healthy big tree, you get a 90-95% survival rate.
Right. So
Yeah.
you invest right in the
Right.
beginning.
And we use herbicides.
Uh-huh.
So we're all planted now in rows. So if you go out and look at the tree farm, blocks of this, and everything is stripped. So the competitive grass is gone. So when it does rain, the tree gets most of the water. And that's been a big improvement. It's easier to mow, and it's easier to do everything that way.
And when you say you plant the tree after one is cut, do you have to take the root base out?
No, we don't. We just let that become organic.
Okay.
So we work around that. And after we've planted, after they grow in the fall, we have to prune them, shape them. So, as I said, I think we're putting in the ground a 3 and 4 year old tree, which is about 2.5, maybe 3 feet high, with a root system very similar. We have special tools that can get in there and open the soil and put them in. And then after
Mechanically done or?
oh yeah, manually.
Oh,
Yeah, that's another fun job.
that's a big job.
Yeah, but it's good for you.
Is it? It builds character for sure.
So we get done with that, and they're planted and growing. So after they've been in place, we planted a tree here. In about 2.5, 3 years, that will have grown enough to look at and say, yeah, maybe we should start pruning it.
Mm-hmm.
So after a while, the trees, as they grow, you have to prune them. Take some of that growth, shorten it to make it more like a tree. And you'll get a tree with all holes.
Right.
Everybody wants their tree to look artificial.
Right.
So that takes some of the growth away. But with our shearing system and all that, we can get a tree to market in 7 years, usually maybe 8, but a good-looking tree.
Mm-hmm.
And the public wants it to look like that. So when we get that, all our trees are pruned prior to when we open tree season, which is typically Thanksgiving weekend. And that's all changed because the public demands you open earlier. And our tree season has come down to maybe 10 days because nobody else in the area has trees. And we get crowds here, Suzanne, I can't believe.
We have your patrol cars out on the road. I've been here. Yes.
And it used to be something that we transitioned through 2 or 3 weekends, and it was fun. And now it's just chaos. It's like, okay, let's go. They're here. Get them in, get them out.
How many trees typically will you harvest in a season?
Several thousand. I'm going to just say that. But
Wow.
yeah, I mean, we've had some strong days.
Wow. I didn't think. How many acres are you planting?
We've got about 100 acres planted.
Oh.
In trees.
Okay. I didn't think about, in the back and the
Yeah.
and area in the back. And
Obviously, they're not all harvestable.
sure.
They're interplanted.
Right.
So yeah, about 100 acres. If the way we plant, we can go 6 by 6. 6 by 6 is roughly 1,200 trees to an acre.
Great.
But of course, you've got to leave room for parking.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody forgets that.
Yeah.
Oh, let's plant it all. Oh, well, no, you need parking.
Right.
Andy knows from the fair, if you
Right.
don't have places to put people, you're in big trouble.
Yeah. Get them
And
off the
we
road.
find that out on our busy weekends.
Mm-hmm.
These insane weekends. Last year, I was 45 minutes getting out of the back of my place, my own place, because of congestion.
Mm-hmm.
And they all want to come, stay all day. I don't mind that. That's it. I tell people it's not about the product.
It's the experience.
It's about the experience.
Mm-hmm.
And if that's what they want to do, fine. But I'll have to. Today, this winter, we're going to do some rearranging of roads and exits and stuff. So we'll think about that.
Mm-hmm. Now, do you have any risks, or as we talked about with flower farming, is there parasites?
Oh yeah.
Again, so the crops or the tree farm is sprayed, or they're okay.
I have a big cannon sprayer,
Okay.
which can do several acres in a matter of minutes. So we spray for both insects and funguses.
Right.
Depending on the tree variety determines on how much you have to spray. I don't think we grow a variety here that doesn't need some attention in that way. So that's just
The white pine?
yeah, they get a weevil.
Oh, that's right.
So they go like that,
Yeah.
and that doesn't make them saleable.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the actual pruning process, who does? You said mechanically or physically? You actually trim?
Yeah,
those?
we have
shearing
There are a
system?
lot of ways to do it. Years ago, I used to hire a crew to come in, and they used like knives and would slice them like that. We've gone to our own it's a 2-cycle motor with a disc on it on a wheel, and white people kind of do this and go up and they're tapered, so it can create that shape as you use it, and we're good at it. So our trees look very well.
Yeah, they're beautiful.
So
It's an art, I'm sure.
it's a shoulder killer.
Again, Fred, you spoke about the experience and memories that are created, and people. You say you don't mind that they come for the whole day for that reason of this is a sentimental kind of an emotional experience, and you create that environment. But speak to that, how both in flowers and in tree farming, that aspect of how it complements the emotional side of buying, or of that connection. It's that experience, that whole it's part of your Christmas experience or your wedding, or all those special events that occur in your life that you have wonderful feelings about are associated with what you're selling: flowers and trees, Christmas trees.
Well, we have families that are now in their 3rd generation coming here.
Yes.
We have families that come here just to get the tree and have their picture taken with Santa. So every year they have pictures to compare the prior year to. One of my favorite stories, talk about customers, repeat customers. A gal showed up. Her name was Lisa Beamer. Her husband was Todd Beamer. 9/11.
Right.
Took the plane down.
That's incredible. What a story. Wow. All right. What is that? He was on the flight
In Pennsylvania.
93.
The guy said, "Let's roll."
Yeah, he's the one.
And took the plane down. And that was her husband. And Todd and Lee, she brought the book up to me, and their picture was in here.
Yeah, pretty incredible. All right. So let's just shift gears a little bit. Is there anything else you want to share about, the legacy of the farm and what the future of Battenfeld's Flower Farm looks like, and where do you see it 5 and 10 years from now?
Well, I'm pleased that I transitioned the way I did with my kids. They were a little reluctant to do this, but it's worked out well. And I'm happy. As long as they're happy, I'm happy. And they have good relationships, which is very important. And they have a good relationship with me. So the future looks well. I'm doing everything financially to relieve the burdens of inheritance.
Right.
Property taxes and estate taxes and all that stuff. So I'm doing a lot of legal phase-in work, and to make the process easier. So this is my wife, who's involved also.
Sure. So you're 5th generation or their 5th generation?
Let's see. No, they're 4. What am I?
It says 5th generation on your website.
Yeah. Okay. So they're the next one.
Yeah, so they're 5th, or
yeah.
Okay. So their kids will be 6th, right?
What kids?
All right. Well, we talked about the future, and
Well, that's a thing.
Yeah, sure. What does that look like, for sure? All right. So I want to talk a little bit about the Dutchess County Fair and your role as a member of the board of directors and your family. I mean, your father, and I don't know if his father even before that, but the Battenfeld family has been associated with the Dutchess County Fair forever, and you've had a lasting impact, long-standing commitment. And just talk to me a little bit about, share with the audience what you do and how long you've been on the board of directors, and maybe the evolution of the fair from way back then to where it is today, and potentially where you see it in the next 5 to 10 years. That was a lot of questions there, Fred, so we can take it back a few steps.
Well, I've been a member of the society. I was trying to think how long ago. Tom Odek got me involved as a member. And Tom was very friendly with my father, who was a director back in the 90s and past president. And Tom got me involved with a gentleman who is no longer with us, a guy named Bob Bowman. And he said, Freddie, you got to work with Bob and this and that. So he got me really volunteering with Bowman. We were handed the charge of handling the food end of the fair, which you know only too well.
Ice cream. Bob Bowman ice cream?
Silver Lake Dairy.
Right, Silver Lake Dairy, right.
But Bob was a director also. And he and I started our process, which you know very well, of meeting with the vendors and getting their names and info and collecting revenue or information for the office. And we started doing that back in the early 90s just to help Tom out. And that was my first exposure with volunteering a lot at the fair. And we did it every day. We had no help. Bob and I did it all. And we did that for over a decade. And then we got a committee together and things progressed. I became a board member, I want to say mid-90s, maybe.
The 25 years I've been a member, you've been a board member. You've been a member of the board of directors.
I got to say. And a past president, as you know, every member of the board takes a 2-year stint as president, and we have a revolving process for that. And I'll do whatever they want me to do there. And I think getting involved was important. I'm actually glad to get my kids involved. I get involved in shows other than the fair, which to me may be the future of the fairgrounds. We never know. So with that being said, I mean, I think we have great leadership. I think we have a great venue, which to me is got to be the focus of our growth and of our future. We never know politically what can happen. You don't know. Things change. We're in the entertainment business, so we have competition everywhere. But my crystal ball says we have the right thing going here, and we just have to really realize what makes it tick, and we'll be fine.
Yeah. Well, certainly, I mean, the infrastructure and the continued investment in the grounds and the property and continuing to create better experiences, to your point, during the fair, as well as those other events. I mean, always reinvesting in all aspects, grounds, landscaping, the welcoming center. What a tremendous first impression it makes to the public and the community. And I do know that there are times when I think that the fair and the village looks at it as an inconvenience or an intrusion in their lives during those 5 or 6 days. But I also see the economic impact of what this event does for Dutchess County in revenue and tax revenue and sales revenue, et cetera. So it's a big machine here in Dutchess County that deserves, I feel, deserves a lot of attention. And thanks to you and your insight and your efforts in creating that world-class experience, because it's not just about, again, that the grounds. I mean, it's the combination of all of what you said, the entertainment, the agricultural education aspect, second to none. The way the livestock and the animals and the agriculture continues to be presented and referenced and showcased. You put on a world-class experience there. And then I know you're involved in the food, as you said in the beginning. The food fair experience has been something that people speak about, the once a year they save their $10 to buy that specific item that they can only get at the fair. But I feel like you and the board have done a tremendous job at kind of diversifying and complementing all aspects of what makes that fair experience, incredible. And thank you for that. Thank you for all that you've done to make the fair experience incredible, because it really is.
Well, I think we're one of the few remaining unique fairs, 6-day fairs. It's a fair. I mean, you go there as a family. We spoke about food. But the ag aspect.
Correct.
People can go there and do things they can't do anywhere else. They can go to an amusement park, and they can go there and go this and hang that. The fair delivers on all fronts.
Certainly does.
It's a great selling point, and we've got to hold on that. Never let it escape.
Right. That little gem.
Yeah.
That big gem.
Yeah. We may have to use other venues to support it, but don't lose that.
For sure. And today you are on the entertainment committee, correct? You're still chair of that committee?
Yeah.
Oh, always. And that too, I mean, we didn't speak to that point, but, again, it's part of that fair experience. And, I've had the honor of being part of that committee at times as well. And, the challenges of bringing in the right entertainment for the times today within a budget that can complement and support, the fair goer or attract the fair goer is that delicate challenge. So, but again, you've hit some out of the park. I think you've had people like Blake Shelton there, and
you've had some good ones.
Yeah, you've had some really good ones there over the years. So they started their career as a result of their great experience or their startup through the Dutchess County Fair. They owe us. They owe you, Fred. How's that?
We've had Jason Aldean.
Yes.
We've had Kane Brown.
Yes, Kane Brown.
Yeah.
And he's like a number one guy now. Awesome. So we talked about the fair, so I feel pretty good. Is there anything you want to share about, to your point, not just the fair, but the county and agriculture education, and how this initiative of this podcast of kind of bringing agriculture education to the forefront and and how it's being showcased during the fair? I mean, what are your feelings about that, Fred?
Well, I feel we're getting a lot more proactive about getting the message out there. Very important today to have that done through schools and through outreach and with things like this. So people realize the education we provide for people.
For sure.
And it's a resource. And we're there. And I think more and more, like we're doing this thing Andy's doing, bringing a calf to school.
Right.
It's insane, but I mean, it's a winner.
For sure.
People are having experiences they never dreamed of. So as I think we're on the right page.
Great.
So.
Great. Anything you want to share, and kind of just before we head out down to the greenhouses and just talk to generation number 4 about the flowers and such that you want to say?
No, I think they're very capable.
Okay.
So
awesome.
Make sure they get you in that little greenhouse where we do our artist brush thing.
Okay.
So get a picture of that, guys. All right.
Thank you so much to the Battenfeld family for sharing the story of Battenfeld's Flower and Tree Farm and giving us a behind-the-scenes look at what it takes to grow beauty, tradition, and community here in Dutchess County. Their commitment to agriculture, family, and service truly reflects the spirit of the Dutchess County Fair and the values that make our region so special. This is just the beginning of our legacy of agriculture and community journey. In upcoming episodes, we'll continue to highlight the farms, families, and organizations that help preserve our agricultural heritage and bring our community together. If you enjoyed today's episode, we would truly appreciate your support. Please take a moment to like this podcast and share it on your social media accounts. Every share helps us expand our reach, increase our viewership, and bring more attention to the incredible farmers, families, and agriculture leaders who make Dutchess County so special. Your engagement allows these stories to travel further and ensures that the legacy of agriculture and community continues to grow. I'm Suzanne Roitze, and I look forward to showcasing more of the people, stories that make the Dutchess County Fair and our local agriculture such a lasting legacy. Until next time, thank you for listening.